Hope you're off to a good week. Happy Monday. As you can see, I'm wearing my Lakers hat here, so I'm a diehard Laker fan. Um, I go back to 1980 when Magic Johnson joined the team. Okay, so I didn't just become a Laker fan because of LeBron James. I've been a fan since Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And if you guys are a little older, you know who those people are: James Worthy, Byron Scott, Michael Thompson. Who else? Uh, Michael Cooper. Okay, and then you had Kobe and Shaq in the early 2000s. But man, I saw the big trade the other day. If you guys know anything about sports, they traded Anthony Davis. I was like, oh my goodness, he's a great player. But we got a guy named Luka Doncic who's really really good, and he's just always hurt. But hopefully he'll get better. But man, I'm excited about it. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. So that's why I got my hat on, just representing. But I don't want to. I want to digress from that and get on the topic at hand. So, guys, I wanted to again, Jimmy Williams here. My channel name is All Things Real Estate with Jimmy Williams. So when you come here, you're going to learn all about real estate. Okay, you have a little short video that you can listen to when you first come on here, and I talk about what I teach on this channel. Okay, so I teach some of the pillars of real estate, that is wholesaling, fix and flip, real estate development, real estate financing. Okay, those are the four that I really. But there's a fifth one as well. It's a fifth arm to that, and it's buy and hold. But I teach all of those here. How to be successful with all facets of real estate. And I want to focus on one topic today, one area, and that is wholesaling. So if you look at the title, I'm talking about how to become successful to make good money as a wholesaler. All right. I often say that wholesaling is probably the most difficult, not because it's not complicated. It's just hard to get good deals or to find deals that haven't been, the word we use in real estate is called daisy chain. It's hard to find deals that are off market, that 4 or 5 wholesalers don't already have their hands on. They're trying to sell the same property and they're price gouging. So let's say the seller has a property. The seller only wants 180 grand for it. So they get one wholesaler. They get one wholesaler to say, "Hey, I'll find you a buyer for 180,000." So you sign a contract with them, and you promise to pay them in 30 days 180 grand. So the wholesaler's job is to go out now and find an end buyer for it. The end buyer can pay whatever the wholesaler wants, as long as the wholesaler at the closing gives this other guy over here 180 grand. So what happens is the wholesaler ends up gouging the price so much they're trying to make 20 grand on it. So they're trying to sell it to the end buyer for 200,000, which ain't too bad, but you got to be careful there, because once you get to closing, the buyer sees how much you're getting. The seller gets to see how much you're getting. They might get upset. So you have to do something called a double closing. But what happens is most of the wholesalers that are out there don't know how to do double closings just yet. Double closing is a little complicated. I'm not going to talk about it on this one because you guys will get confused. But the big problem is whenever you get the end buyer and they're promised to pay 200 grand, sometimes the end buyer could be another wholesaler who takes that deal and shows it to someone else. And so you're selling it to them for 200,000. They go to a third wholesaler. They try to sell it to them for 210 or 215. And then that third wholesaler goes to another wholesaler. That second wholesaler goes to a third wholesaler and tries to sell it for 220 or 230. So the property's 180. Now it's being sold for 230. And you got all these people in the middle. That's how you get a daisy chain. And that's the worst thing that can happen with real estate wholesaling. So to avoid that, you've got to find a way to get your own off-market deals that have not been daisy chained. All right. But wholesaling, you can make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month doing it, but you have to have like 50 deals on the table a month to do that, because so many of them fall through. Right. But here's the basic steps to making let's say $10,000 a month in wholesaling. All right. So again, the first part is finding good off-market deals. Now, how do you do that? You can't use the MLS because those deals are online. They're actually out there, so that's not off market. So if you go to a realtor and they give you their list of that's on the MLS, that's not off market. So you can't use those deals. But you can go to a realtor and say, "Hey, listen, I need good deals in this city." Let's say you're talking about Chicago, right, or New York City, or Miami, Florida. It doesn't matter. And say, "Do you have any properties that are not listed on the MLS, that are off market, that are not, that are direct to the seller. Can you get me those deals? And sometimes the realtor will say yes, they have deals. That's one thing you can do. The second thing you can do is you can pay for certain softwares that's out there. Okay, I recommend Flipbid. Flipbid is I know the owner there. He's a good guy. And this software, you go online and you type in a certain city or a certain zip code, and the software will pull up all these properties. Okay, some of them are on market, some of them are off market. But on when you pull that property up and look at it, you'll know right away if it's a property that's off market. It'll be in the description, and that's the fastest way to get the best deals offline, okay, off market, because the software has the ability to find deals faster and more accurate, depending on what kind of how the algorithm is set up inside the software. So that's the best way to get to the seller. Okay, so if you see a property in the software, you just sometimes it'll have the owner's phone number or their contact information. You would reach out to them directly, and at that point, you would go ahead and make set up a deal with them. So say, hey, listen, I want to put your property under contract for 30 days, all right? And more than likely, they'll let you do that. Once you put that property under contract, you're the only one with that property, all right? And you take that thing and you use the same software sometimes when you put it under contract. You can use the same software and take that property and blast it out there on the software to find sometimes a buyer. Or you can go online, you can go to some of these Facebook groups. Once you have the property under contract, it's yours. You can go into some of these Facebook groups, these real estate REI groups, and say, hey, listen, I have a property under contract, and you tell them what you're looking for. Normally, if you're trying to be a fair wholesaler, you're not trying to make any more than 5 or 10 grand on a wholesale deal. Anything more than that, it's too much. You need to do a double closing. So again, if that's the scenario I gave you before, you get the property under contract for 280. Okay, tell the seller, hey, listen, I'll 280 at closing. You go, I said 280, 180, $180,000, right? You take that, take it to online. Now that you have it under contract, you got control of that deal. So you don't have to worry about somebody stealing it from you. But you got to find a good buyer. So you go out there and you find the buyer, all right? Tell the buyer, I want 190 for it. 190, you're gonna make $10,000. That's one deal. That's not 5 deals. That's you can make 10 grand on one deal with wholesaling, not 4 or 5 deals, right? And you go to closing, and tell the person who's buying the property, no daisy chain. That's very important to say to them. In other words, don't bring a deal to closing where you are taking that property, you're trying to sell it to someone else. You are the end buyer. I'm only looking for end buyer. Or some people use the term cash buyers. Now, cash buyers doesn't always mean that you are a cash buyer, which means you may not always have the money in the bank, but you have a lender that will pay cash, will give you the cash to buy that property. That's what a cash buyer is. You don't necessarily always have the cash in the bank, but they can make moves happen in that closing. They don't have a daisy chain. It's just them, you, and the seller. That's how you make that $10,000. Okay. If you go to closing and they have 2 and 3 other people there, it's gonna kill the deal. 2 and 3 other wholesalers trying to make money on that deal. So you in the middle, seller, 180 over here. You set the contract up. Now this contract over here has to be an assignable contract, which means the seller is giving you permission to assign that contract to the end buyer, which means they don't care if you're making some money in the middle. As long as you don't make too much, you're assigning the contract to that end buyer at the end. So you're in the middle. You're a middleman. That's all you are. Wholesaling is like being a middleman. Just like when you go online and you're trying to buy and sell products, and you're wholesaling online, it's the same thing. Okay, so that's what I would tell you guys. So wholesaling is like the fastest way to really make quick cash with real estate. But you got to have so many deals working, because so many things can happen, and the deals can go bad. All right. I'm trying to think if I left out anything else. Yeah, that's the basics of that. Now, if you duplicate that over and over again, I've seen people make $20,000 and $30,000 a month being a wholesaler because they have so many deals working outstanding. But the key is to have really good off-market deals, and you cannot ask a realtor to go online and show you their list on the MLS. Those are on-market deals. Those are not off-market. Wholesaling, when you're wholesaling, it has to be off-market deals that are not online, are not being advertised and marketed. Okay, you have to get software. I recommend Some people are using PropStream. I've used them before. There's a few other ones, but the main one that I use now is Flipbit. Flipbit.com. The owner's name is Ken Singh, good friend of mine. His software is revolutionary. It's fast. It finds off-market properties within seconds. You want to buy a property in Las Vegas, you go in there, you type in Las Vegas, a certain zip code, and all the properties that are available in Las Vegas will pop up. You contact the seller, because sometimes there's information for the seller. Negotiate with the seller. The seller says, hey, listen, I want $300,000 for my property. You go out, you put it under contract for $300,000. It's an assignable contract. That's a certain type of contract, guys, which legally states that the seller's giving you the rights to send that to sell that property to an end buyer, and basically they get their money, the end buyer gets their money, you get a cut in the middle. They're giving you permission to wholesale it. You take that $300,000 property, you go and you do your advertising. Sometimes it might be best if you go, again, you can go to some of these Facebook groups that have really good buyers in them and say, hey, listen, I have a property in Vegas, looking for a legitimate buyer. And what you do, here's the hardest part. I gotta let you guys go now in a minute. You have to vet the buyer. Okay, sometimes you have to tell the buyer, listen, I want a cash buyer. I need to see bank statements, or I need to see a letter from your bank or from your institution that says that you can make a deal. You can buy this property, within 30 days or something. And if they don't give you proof that they're a buyer, then you move on to the next buyer. Right? The hardest part about wholesaling, to me, I think, is not just getting the property, but finding the real buyers, vetting the buyers. Everybody has a property. Everybody's trying to sell something. But if you go in these groups, sometimes you'll see them. They're always talking about, oh, listen, I have do you have a buyer for my property? So everybody there's a lack of buyers, not sellers. All right. So follow these steps, and you will be. Hold on one second, guys. All right. Follow these steps, and you will be just fine with wholesaling. But that's how you make $10,000 to $20,000 a month doing this. Again, you have to find good off-market deals. I recommend software. Then you take those properties and you put it under contract. You go find your buyers, okay? And that's how you cut the daisy chain. Vet the buyer. Make sure it's one buyer. You find your buyer, and you get the deal done. The best way to find buyers is you can pay companies. All right, there's a couple of major companies out there that you can pay them like $200 or $300 a month, and you'll get the top buyers in a certain region. They're already in there. They're already buying properties. They've already been vetted. You ain't got to vet them because they're in this platform. You can do that, or you can hire a disposition team. Disposition team. They have buyers all over the country, and you just send them the deal, and they'll go find a buyer for it in their network. Okay, so those are two best ways to find buyers. The third way is what I told you before. Get on these groups, Facebook groups. If you don't have any money, you're trying to find buyers for free, and it's hard to do that. But you can go in these groups and say, hey, I have a property here. Are you guys interested? Those are the three ways to find buyers. Dispo team, you can pay to go to a certain platform with all the buyers, or you can do it yourself. And that's how you do it. All right. I hope you got something out of this, guys. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.